Next on Worcester News Tonight, the Worcester Redevelopment Authority meets to discuss the future of the Midtown Mall. Plus, an active shooter drill at a Worcester high school trains law enforcement how to respond to real-life scenarios. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The Worcester Redevelopment Authority met with the owners of the Midtown Mall Friday morning to discuss future developments. As our Gretchen LaRosa explains, many businesses seem happy with recent changes. Gretchen?
Anna, the latest developments for the Midtown Mall took place in a meeting this morning. The new owner says he wants to keep up with the rest of Worcester's downtown revitalization. The Worcester Redevelopment Authority met Friday to discuss adding more developers to the renovation of the Midtown Mall. Worcester's Midtown Mall was owned by the same person for decades. WRA Chairman Vincent Pedoni says change is long overdue.
And here we are, nearly 30 years later, and we're still talking about the Midtown Mall.
Development's already beginning Friday, as new floors were being installed. Wireless experts, who have only been in the building for 3 years, say the improvements inside the mall have been positive.
We've been outside. You can see they're doing the whole construction inside, downstairs. They're doing a lot of stuff here.
Shami Nelson says he sees the potential in the mall and believes it could even mimic shopping centers in larger cities.
Like that little hall right here, Fernhill Hall in Boston, that would be nice, if we have something like that in Worcester. Quincy Market, you see the whole strip, so just like that.
The Midtown Mall is also stepping up and adding security as part of the new vision.
It shows like a lot of people that are actually walking by there are surprised. They actually say, oh, wow, they got security now. And they actually do say it. We feel more comfortable.
Well, if he's already invested nearly $200,000 in doing some immediate repairs and upgrades to the property itself.
While changes are being made quickly, Pedoni says it may still take some time to see significant improvement.
Our tagline was, we're just about to round that corner. Well, we've rounded that corner and we are moving. Our city is moving full force ahead with some great development parcels.
So the takeaway from today's meeting was the new owner saying he'd like to add more developers to the project. He also says he'll be seeking input from the community on what will work best for this location. In the studio, Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
The Mount Carmel and Loretto Italian Festival saw large crowds Friday night. Our Lady of Mount Carmel and Our Lady of Loretto once held their own celebrations, but when the parishes merged, they joined forces to put on one big festival. The event features Italian food, rides, games, and music. The festival this year comes as the former Mount Carmel church is set to be demolished. Chairperson Elaine Beaudry says while it's sad to see it go, they still have their faith.
The faith is within. It's not within a building. So no matter where you go, that's where your faith travels with you.
Beaudry says all who once attended Mount Carmel were invited to join the Loretto Parish when the church originally closed. The festival will continue to honor the church. It runs through Sunday. The Wooster World Cup is back in the city. This year, 20 teams are competing for the title. During Friday's opening ceremony, volunteers held 17 different flags representing the nations competing. Organizers say the annual tournament is a celebration of Worcester's growing diversity by playing the most popular sport in the world.
We really focus on the celebration of each other's cultures, having a sort of a pluralism type of vibe. We all recognize we're all from different parts of the world and we just want to celebrate together.
This is the 14th year the WWC has taken place in the city. The games will run through Sunday. Kids under 18 are free and weekend passes are just $8. An active shooter drill in Worcester is part of a 3-day training program offered by Louisiana State University. City and state law enforcement took part in the training. The goal is for officers to learn from each other on how to respond. Our Aaron Keating explains.
In the halls of Worcester's North High School, police officers are being trained on how to approach a victim in an active shooter situation.
Training, especially with active shooter, is always ongoing. So being in the training division, I try to acquire as much training as I can so I can bring the best, the newest, the latest, the greatest elements of training to the police academies.
Louisiana State University instructors are in Worcester training both city and state law enforcement in an active shooter response course. Worcester police officer Paul Sir says the different scenarios deal with more than taking down the shooter.
After we stop the killing, the active shooter portion of it, then we have to stop the dying. So there we really start stepping over into the medical field. Once we secure the scene the best we can, we have to apply tourniquets, combat gauze, and just address any of the medical needs that some of these critically wounded have.
Instructors organize live action hostage and active shooter scenarios for officers. Sir says training like this is important for all levels of law enforcement.
Because ultimately what it comes down to is going to be the patrolman who's working the streets, who's able to get in the building first because they're going to be in the area. So they have to be capable and have the training to be able to respond.
Joe Hadabow says he hopes the officers who participated bring back what they learned to their different departments. The training and exercise coordinator for the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency says police officers are trainers themselves.
They are teachers, they are trainers, and they go back and not only teach their officers and in-service, but they're also working with the schools in their towns, with their student resource officers.
And unfortunately, when it comes to active shooter, the warrior in each cop has to come out. You really have to just, get it within yourself, wherever you find it from, and be able to get in the building and stop the dying. You have to neutralize the threat.
As funerals get underway for the victims of a deadly mass shooting in El Paso, we're learning more about what happened before the attack. The suspect's mother telling police she was concerned when he bought an AK-47 style rifle, but since he was 21, had no criminal record, and was not mentally ill, they told her they couldn't do anything. The heartbreak shared by families in Dayton, Ohio, where residents held a vigil today for the victims of another mass shooting the same day. A shocking discovery in Worcester as police find a hand grenade among school supplies donated to a church. The grenade was inactive but was dropped off at St. Bernard's Church on Lincoln Street. Worcester and state police, along with the ATF, were called in. They deemed the area safe. Police say there was no threat to the church. A firefighter from Central Mass is facing charges for the alleged sexual assaults of 2 children. We're also learning it's not the first time he's been accused of this crime. Alicia Palumbo has the latest from Uxbridge.
45-year-old Uxbridge firefighter Abraham Rodas of Douglas is on paid administrative leave from the department after he was charged Friday with 3 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14. Court documents allege Rodas sexually assaulted 2 girls around the age of 10 multiple times inside his Douglas home, allegedly inappropriately kissing one of the girls and inappropriately touching and rubbing his genitals up against the other.
Obviously, it's very disappointing to be dealing with this, but we need to respect the employees' presumption of innocence until proven or pleading guilty.
But Rodas faced similar charges back in 2007 when he was a firefighter in the neighboring town of Douglas. In that case, he was acquitted of statutory rape of a child, but convicted of assault and battery on a child and put on probation for 2 years. Rodas was fired from the Douglas Fire Department shortly after that 2009 conviction, but hired by Uxbridge shortly after that. How could Uxbridge Fire Department have hired him if that was what he was accused of and fired for in Douglas?
Currently, most fire departments and police departments do background checks on potential employees. Whether that was done at that time, I really don't know.
Rodas was released on $10,000 bail. He's due back in court on September 10th. Town officials plan to meet with town council on Monday to discuss Rodas's status with the town going forward. In Uxbridge, Alicia Palumbo, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester firefighters donating more than $20,000 to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Firefighters presented a check to the MDA Friday morning. The money collected came from their Fill the Boot drive. Worcester firefighters spread out across the city taking donations.
Every year we get together, usually in May. We try to do 4 hours to collect certain intersections in the whole city. We have 6 intersections. We try to flood that area with firefighters, and we collect money as much as we can.
The firefighters donated $23,682. They say they surpassed last year's totals. The man charged in a deadly mass pike crash killing a state trooper is waiving his right to a jury trial. David Naguna has agreed to a bench trial in Worcester Superior Court. Prosecutors allege Naguna was driving under the influence of marijuana when he hit the parked cruiser of Trooper Thomas Clardy on the Mass Pike in Charlton in 2016. Clardy died at the scene. Naguna faces multiple charges, including manslaughter. His trial is set for October 21st. The site at Polar Park is officially a construction zone. Crews started digging Thursday. The entire area is now blocked off. Earlier this week, the team laid the bases in their spots for the first time. Gilbane Hunt's senior project executive Mike Mallett says it's a one-of-a-kind project for both the city and Gilbane Hunt.
It's something that you don't get to do every day. So when a project like this comes up and we're bringing it into Massachusetts, into Worcester, and to be able to be part of bringing this area up with the Worcester Redevelopment Authority is really something special. So we're very, very excited.
Mallett says the ballpark is still expected to open on time in the spring of 2021.